All right, Blue-Black Fairies. This is not the list from the Grand Prix to answer that question. If you're watching on YouTube in the future, and if you're watching on YouTube in the future, remember to hit that like button, ring that bell, and leave a comment below. This is the Blue-Black Fairies deck that we've been playing for a while on stream. Specifically, this deck is focused on discard spells like Inquisition, Thoughtseize, and Collective Brutality, as opposed to being more counter magic based with things like Mana Leak, Remand, and Logic Knot. Our only counter spells in the deck are Spellstutter Sprite and Cryptic Command, which can be proactive cards when you need to. This deck isn't a blue-black control deck. The list from the Grand Prix was playing a more controlling game plan, and I definitely prefer to be more proactive. Mistbind Clique's a heck of a card, just like a 4/4 flyer that like time walks your opponent occasionally is very good. Closes games out quickly while being evasive. The more sprites, the less bits. What's going on, Luca? This deck does play my #1 favorite card in Magic the Gathering, which is Spellstutter Sprite. I may or may not have one framed upstairs. Is this the list that Ross played on Jeopardy? It is, in fact. Hit the nail on the head. Oh no, my stream constant is out of date, chat. I currently have a Sword and Shield, but my last month was 11 months. It's weird. Sometimes it's based on number of days, not total resubs DMS. So occasionally it pops up the new icon a little bit before you resub. And some more aggressive build, would Scion of Una be okay? We've played a build with Scion in it in the past, and the problem is you just want to play cards that are individually powerful, and Scion of Una is anything but individually powerful. So do I take Remand here, or do I take Desperate Ritual? Remand's like kind of annoying, but Desperate Ritual is like one of their combo cards technically, so I think I'm going to take that. It is. Twitch is switching to that come January. So January they'll be switching how sub lengths are calculated. We had some good games in canon. We had some real laugher moments. I may or may not have died to a Spoils of the Vault occasionally. You know, live by the meme, die by the meme. Would love to draw Bitterblossom here. What does champion a fairy mean? So champion means you exile a creature of that type when this comes into play. So in order for, or you sacrifice this. So if I don't have a fairy already on the battlefield, I can't play this. I believe it's retroactive, Lord. Champion leads to some blowout type moments. It definitely leads to some not fun gameplay. The thing about making data-driven decisions is you don't want to make data-driven decisions with bad data, and making decisions based off Twitch chat would be doing just that, using bad data to make choices. Infinite T, thanks for all the stuff you upload to YouTube. It helps when I'm in a stream watching drought. Thanks for the 10 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. So now I'm going to take this Remand away from them. I'll play this fetch land out. I'm going to pass the turn. Yes. Yeah, you infrequently exile your Bitterblossom so it doesn't kill you in this deck. It's a fun interaction. You are the most unfair of advantages. You are not wrong. Maybe I was supposed to play Mutavault last turn, because that way, if I draw another blank, I could attack for 2. Because I can't attack with Creeping Turpet yet, because I want to keep holding up Fatal Push and whatever other interaction I have. Awkward. You can exile Mutavault, in fact. That is a legal play. That might actually happen here. Just like next turn, like pay 1 to activate Mutavault and then pay 4 and champion it with Mistbind Clique. Do you think if Standard Plus started with Kalitas, they would have to ban cards? Yeah, I think so, probably. I think they would likely have to ban cards from the get-go if they wanted to start at Kalitas. So they have Past in Flames, Grape Shot, and then 2 cards I don't know here. So hopefully they cast a Ritual here, we push this off a cliff, and then they just do nothing. I didn't attack you with the Creeping Tar Pit, I have something. So if they have another Ritual here, can they Past in Flames? No, right? I guess they could have a creature now. So I know they have Grape Shot, Past in Flames. Like, I don't think they're doing anything here. And then next turn, now that they've blown most of their load, I'm going to go ahead and just play the Clique onto my Mutavault, which is great. They just like casting a cantrip here. This is like Past in Flames, Flashback, Serum Visions. It would be incredibly difficult to code all of Magic's past cards and keywords into Arena. Well, maybe not even difficult, but time-consuming. It would definitely be time-consuming. They went bottom, top. Like, unit testing. Although there's a good chance Wizard of the Coast doesn't know what unit testing is. So, like, maybe they get to skip that part. Please remember, if you want to critique play that you see on the stream, whether it be my play or my opponent's play, you need to be constructive and specific or you're going to get a 10-minute break. Would like to tap all of your lands, please. Ooh! Ooh! Found a piece of candy. The amount of work it would take to create an API for a Magic Rules engine is absurd. It's not a small project. Man, I really hope they go like Ritual and then try and Grape Shot to kill my Clique. Good luck in the rest of your league, Beef Sandwich. Continue letting those fair decks know who's boss. I think I just end step Nimble here, attack them for 7, and then next turn I click and tap their lands outright, and then just kill them. All right, they should just be dead here. Who do you think is successful in this modern age and why? I don't know what that question means. What do you mean successful? So they get to cast Gifts Ungiven here, but like they can't do anything with the 1 mana, right? Sure. Starting on Amonkhet. That's not something I'd considered, actually. Is that fine? I don't know. Hazoret's a really rancid card, and so is Scarab God. So their hand is Grape Shot, Grape Shot. Just bin these two. They're just like taking game actions. They're dead. In my experience, the only time I lose this matchup as fairies is you either get incredibly unlucky or they go for really fast goblins. If they have really fast goblin hand, they can kill you, but otherwise they just end up dead. Which is why we bring in Engineered Explosives post-board in this matchup. Need to cut 4 cards here. So Collective Brutality is often pretty clunky, especially on the draw. I think I'm going to go ahead and trim that and just favor the 1-mana discard spells. And trim a Cryptic Command, because I probably never want to draw 2 of that. One of the important things to look at when you're considering your curve of this deck, especially post-board against something like Storm, is that the Snapcaster Mage is effectively a 3-mana spell, right? Like, it's generally not just an Ambush Viper, it's flashing back a 1 or 2 mana thing. So, like, this Snapcaster Mage realistically goes in, like, the 3 to 4 mana spot, but this looks pretty good for our curve, right? Seems fine. I don't like bringing in Disdainful Stroke in this matchup because the opponent's deck often trims copies of Gifts Ungiven against decks that are heavily disruptive like ours in favor of the card pieces of the puzzle. This hand is really good. Needs a third land and a second blue source, but it's quite fantastic. Fae is short for fairies. This is a fairies deck. Let's play my favorite game. How much RAM is Magic Online using? 2.6 gigabytes. Yep, that's about the point we start to feel it. Alrighty. What's this deck's plan versus graveyard strategies? Concede and move on with your life? Not every deck can beat everything. There's 50 decks in Modern. Pick the ones you want to beat, pick the ones you want to lose to, and just be accepting that that's how it goes. Will we see Kiki Court again? So basically all the decks that I play on this stream are viewer-submitted deck lists. If you're interested in submitting a deck to be played on stream at some point in the future, you can follow the process here. You did miss Griselbrand. We played that earlier today. It'll be up on YouTube later, as always. Yep. They put Remand and Gifts Ungiven in their hand. So I think I just play my Vendilion Clique now. 4 months of flooping pigs and turn 4. What is going on, Life Guardian? Thanks for the third of a year. Welcome back. You got to get up to like 3.5 gigs of RAM for Moto to crash, but like by the time you hit 3 gigs, the application is so sluggish it's unusable. So I usually restart before it crashes from using too much. So now this is the part where we fire up Mutavault and just like start beating down. The part where we start attacking. Wow, that's good. I guess it's not really that good because they have Remand in their hand. Yeah, holding the Negate up to protect the Damping Sphere is like the primary game plan at this point. They went bottom top last turn with the Serum Visions. Didis, thank you for the 213 sub. Welcome back. I appreciate it. Just keeping me employed here. Grape Shot to kill my Clique. I think that's fine. I think I'm okay with that. I think I just want to hold the Negate to protect the Sphere. And again, I think I just let this happen. We're just like protecting the Sphere at all costs. We knew about that Remand. But just like making them have 2 answers to my Damping Sphere is like pretty important. I don't want to leave my wet balls out in the cold. Besides card buying, can you play free matches on Magic Online? Yeah, you can play matches, casual matches for free. You cannot, a lot like Artifact, you cannot earn prizes without putting money into Arena. We got pretty dumpstered playing Golgari, or playing Sultai. It was not a good scene. I really don't care about 4 goblins, right? Like, I have this Mutavault, plus I have Bitterblossom. Like, I'm gonna have a Mistbind Clique before long, too. So, like, if the Bitterblossom gets out of control, like, the Mistbind Clique can, like, put it in check. Yeah, Magic Online's basically online gambling. Beast Whisperer seems sweet in the Green Black Elves in Modern. That's not something I've tried. The land in the mana base, cutting a green source for a colorless land seems absurdly greedy, though. So they have Past in Flames, 3 rituals, then 1 card I don't know right now. I'm glad I'm home, Doom Feast. Happy to be back. Just gonna pass. That would be incredibly greedy. I'm gonna negate this, actually. Their hand is triple ritual Past in Flames, so I'd rather they not get a bunch of digs here. So their hand is triple ritual Past in Flames, so I'm just gonna like time walk them for the next 2 turns. I think is the plan. Yeah, the kids notice when I'm gone now, which is one of the other reasons why I started traveling less. In addition to enjoying tournament magic less, the kids noticing is a big deal. Welcome back to everyone's favorite virtual cardboard crack dealer. Thanks, Smugface, for the 19 months. I appreciate that. Do they have a card that I'm not remembering? What are they doing? Are they just like casting their spells to cast their spells for no reason? Am I missing something? I thought their hand was... Did they play this Pyretic Ritual? Do they have a card I don't know about? Maybe I messed up. And this is another reason why Arena is great, right? Like Arena, when you know cards in their hand, it leaves them revealed. I might have messed up while doing multiple things, and maybe they have a card in their hand that I don't know about. Mana, maybe they're new and they don't know that mana empties during phases. Maybe they think if they float mana here, they're gonna have it. They're gonna have it during the next phase. But that's not how Magic the Gathering works. All right, 2-0. Good start. How we doing, folks? Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you're at in the world. My name is Jeff Hoagland. I'm a full-time streamer and content producer here on Twitch. I'm here playing Magic 30, 40, 50 hours a week. If you find yourself enjoying my stuff, please consider subscribing to my channel. My subscribers are the people that keep me employed here full-time. I love what I do, but I wouldn't be here day in and day out without their support. Past subscribing, you can also support my stuff by checking out some of my very wonderful sponsors. MTGOtraders.com. Love to buy and sell some Magic Online cards with you. And if you use code Hoagland PayPal at checkout with them, you'll save 8% on your singles orders there. Neo makes wonderful candy flavored protein bars. You can use code Hoagland to get 10% off of your order with them at bit.ly/HugoBar. CoolStuffInc.com. Buy and sells a lot of cool stuff, including TCG singles. Using promo code Jeff5, you can save 5% on Magic, Pokemon, Warhammer, and Yu-Gi-Oh cards with them. BCWSupplies.com is the only people I trust to protect my wonderful shuffling deck. Using code Jeff10 at BCWSupplies.com, you can save 10% on sleeves, deck box, and all sorts of other fantastic stuff there with them. Is this the last league of the day? I believe so. So remember, I have a hard cutoff by 3:30 so I can get Jake off the bus. And Magic Online is just very inflexible. So I have to be done so that way I don't run too long. One 1-0 start with fairies here. Hopefully this one ends up better than the 1-0 start that we had with Sultai. So the BCW's bacon at the top, like dragon shields. Do these get wavy? Yeah, they do get a little bit wavy at the top after you've had them for a while. I've had these for a few months, and that's just like what they do. Are the BCW sleeves matte or not matte, or can you pick? Because I'm not a fan of the matte finish. You can pick, actually. So the back on all of the backs are gloss, and the matte or not matte when you're buying the BCW Elite Guard sleeves is what the front looks like. So they have matte fronts and gloss fronts. So their matte sleeves are still gloss on the back, but they're matte on the front, so they still shuffle nice. Spring Leaf Drum. All right, I think I'm supposed to Thoughtseize this hand on one, probably off of a basic swamp. Yeah, this looks like the Frenzy deck that Saffron Olive was playing. Do they make a matte back sleeve? I don't think so. Matte back sleeves don't shuffle as nicely, so... What's the charity tag for? Oh, I should plug that more. So any bits that you cheer on any channel on Twitch with the charity tag, if you put hashtag charity in your cheer, Twitch is donating 20 cents for every dollar you cheer to charity between now and December 27th, so for the next 2 weeks. So that goes for this channel and any others that have that hashtag. Do I take Frenzy or do I take Plating? I think I'm supposed to take Frenzy. This is probably a bad matchup for us. Just like not being able to interact with their resolved artifacts and enchantments a big deal. Yeah, probably Jackal Girl. I guess I could have... I guess maybe I'm supposed to take the Plating because I could snap Thoughtseize, take the Experimental Frenzy if I draw my third land like I did here. What's the conversion of bits to real dollars? 100 bits is $1. So for every $1 you cheer, they're donating 20 cents to charity, which is most of their profit on what they sell for bits, or like 2/3 of their profit. And Twitch is taking that out of their back end. It's not coming out of the streamer's end. So the streamers that you put that in, they're still getting the full amount, and Twitch is donating it. Yeah, they're different than Dragon Shield backs. They're like a textured gloss, if that makes sense. So they have a Frogmite and then one card I don't know here. I've never used the Dragon Shield art sleeve, so I don't have a good comparison for you there. Bits are more expensive on mobile, just as a heads up. I believe on mobile, bits have like a huge upcharge because when you're buying stuff on mobile, you have to give the mobile store a cut. Yes, one of the many things that makes Arena better than Magic Online is the Twitch integration that it has. Hey, Anti-Trumpet, thanks for the biddies. We're very dead here, right? I guess I could theoretically live. Hopefully they equip the Blink Both Nexus here. That's unfortunate. When would you play 2 Bitterblossoms? That there isn't an easy answer to that question. There's so many different circumstantial things that go into when you want to make a choice like that. It's one of the things that makes Magic great and worth talking about. That I can't just say you always do this or you never do this in most situations. I think I'm supposed to just trade with the Frogmite here. Dead. Got it. You go for the throat looking real awkward here. Thoughtseize is pretty bad. Collective Brutality is probably just fine as like another removal spell. The fact that I could just like never beat Experimental Frenzy is a big deal though. Yeah, I guess Rejection's fine. What do I think this archetype's missing in general? A playable 1-mana fairy. You need a fairy that's playable on 1s, that we can go like 1-drop fairy, Spellstutter Sprite your 2-drop when you're on the play. This deck actually has a pretty reasonable Tron matchup, Engineer. You have a lot of meaningful disruption and an OK clock. Probably trim that, because I just like can't have too many 4s. I don't know, I'm not expecting to be very successful in this matchup. Let's see how it goes though. Definitely haven't played it out before. Yeah, Mausoleum Wanderer or Curse Catcher would be absurd. Like if there was just a Curse Catcher that was a fairy, that would be everything you'd wanted. A few more unbanned cards would be good, yeah, basically. Hey, Strabolo, thank you for the brand new Prime support. There's a lot of great people making a lot of great stuff on Twitch. Thanks for supporting mine. It's a lot of unbeatable Magic cards. Siren Stormtamer would also be an acceptable card. That would be able to push fairies over the top if there was one of those. Just like Drew Mox Opal on one. A little Jeff goes a long way during finals week. Red Mulligan, thanks for the 9 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. Bitterblossom is probably a fine card against Blue-White Control out of Shadow. It's probably not going to make your matchup good, but I don't know. Honestly, like, Modern is a big part of playing Modern and playing it well is that you can't have good matchups even post-board against everything. You need to, like, pick your deck and then realize what your bad matchups are and then figure out which of your bad matchups are fixable and which are the ones you need to just punt. Hey, RG, love your content and listening to you think through your plays. Just bought into Is It Phoenix? But if I bomb, I'm going to sell out for Mono Green Tron. Thanks for the 7 months. The Goryo's League was really bad. The Goryo's League was really bad. We literally did not win a game. It was not a good scene. It's been a rough day. We've gotten modern a fair bit. That last matchup was just a good example. Like, people ask, like, well, you know what does this archetype really need to be to, like, push it to that next level? And it's our kind of archetype's just not aggressive enough for Modern. There's just going to be too many matches where your answers don't line up well into what your opponent's doing, and the only way to make those types of matchups better is to be able to linear people, and this deck just doesn't linear well enough. Just how it goes. Yeah, there's no free wins to make up for all your losses. Are they playing Bogles? They mulliganed to 5 and played Temple Garden, so I assume they're playing Bogles. Flooded Strand, maybe not Bogles. Fairy Miscreant is not playable. A 1/1 flying for 1 mana is not a playable Magic the Gathering card. When I say playable, we need a playable copy of X. I mean, you look at this card and go, with no other synergy cards, this card is good on its own. And there aren't any 1-mana fairies that meet that requirement. I think that's kind of a completely idiotic comparison, Turkin. Like, comparing this deck to humans is just absurd. This deck's doing something completely different from humans. Like, I think humans is a better deck than this, but, like, this deck doesn't really have parallels to humans as an archetype. Do you keep track of how each deck does? Nope, I don't care. The results of my matches are meaningless. Like, if you're testing matches of Magic the Gathering and the only thing you're keeping track of is how often you win or lose, you have really terrible data in front of you. There are, just think about, if you've played even a little bit of Magic the Gathering, you know just how many razor thin games you're going to play. You know how many games of Magic that are won or lost by one small decision or one small percentage point, like breaking in one player's direction or the other. Like, I've 5-0'd with decks before, and my conclusion at the end is, this deck was really bad, and I would never play it again. And I've, like, 0-5'd with a deck and gone, man, we ran pretty poorly, and I think with better beats and a little bit better decisions in certain spots, I would have done really well. I mean, you can gauge which decks are successful based on viewership easily by, like, looking at my YouTube channel. Like, take a really quick look through and just, like, see how many views average deck lists have. So I was going to Mistbind Clique my Spellstutter Sprite, but now I drew Bitterblossom, so we're just going to click that one. I agree with you, Turkin, that Humans is a better deck. I think it's fundamentally different than what a deck full of counter spells and discard spells and a bunch of removal spells is doing, though. So on a raw power level, without certainty, without any doubt in my mind, Humans is a better deck than this in terms of raw power level. But in terms of like what the decks are doing, they're just fundamentally different. Do I want Kalitas in this matchup? I kind of feel like I want Kalitas in this matchup. Probably don't mind Dispel. Let's give this a try. Oh, Justin, you missed Sultai. I played Sultai before this because I wasn't sure how long it was going to take because sometimes Sultai is a 3-hour league. And we got beat up a little bit. Someone asked, do I think Magic Online is good testing? In my opinion, playing random matches of Magic against random opponents where you have no control over their quality of play and the decks that they are playing is never good testing, regardless of if it's occurring on Magic Online or while playing Friday Night Magic at your local game store. In my opinion, proper quality testing involves two players that are reasonable Magic the Gathering players sitting down with decks that you want to play matchups between and learning how those matchups play out and what the key cards are. And that's subjective. Feel free to disagree. But that is my opinion on what constitutes good Magic the Gathering testing. Applications like Magic Online and Magic Arena are good for getting volume testing in. They're good for getting not testing's a bad word. They're good for repetition, right? They're good for learning the ins and outs and just what your average sequencing looks like. However, in terms of quality, I don't think they're fantastic. And that's not it's not Magic Online's fault. That's just a byproduct of playing random matches against random people. I like the blue-black Pirates deck a lot. This current standard format is really, really good. And Pirates is a lot of fun to play. I really like tempo decks. No, land destruction isn't really viable. All right, baby, blow me out. Blow me out, baby. Do it, no fear. Dead, got him. Ha, got him. You can't be afraid, chat. You gotta look them right in the eye and Fatal Push their thing. And that turn is a fantastic example. Of looking at your popular videos, you can see Debogles and Salt Off more often. I hate this idea. This the idea that like what I did there was salty is so crazy to me. In fact, I'd argue that video of me playing against Vocals is the inverse of salt. It's me going, oh, we hit a bad beat, and just being done, right? Like, if I was salty, I'd sit there and whine and complain about variant and how modern sucks and I'm never lucky and do. Like that's what salt would be. Going, oh, we hit a bad beat, let's move on with our life. That's like being an adult. That's like taking a situation that you have no control over and like responding to it in a reasonable manner. All right, what do you got? Do you have another Lord? Oh, you have nothing. That's really good for me. I'm a big fan of nothing. Cast 3 mana Edict. Cast an Edict. I agree. It was good TV. Anybody who thinks it wasn't good TV, you don't know what good TV is. What's the saying? You can't control what happens to you in life a lot of the time, but you can control how you respond to what is happening to you. Is a big part of, you know. I'm gonna call the list clickbait. I'm actually gonna go ahead and sack a Mutavault here. So unless they find a removal spell or Reflector Mage this turn, they should be pretty dead. They have a hard time racing Kalitas. I have a bag of honey wheat pretzel sticks that I am dipping in peanut butter. What do you cut in green-black mid-range against Amulet Titan? Fatal Push is the first cut. Sounds good, Justin. All right, well, hit 2 reasonable matchups. Lost a tough one where they have Experimental Frenzy that we can't interact with. Kalitas feels like a baby Grave Titan. Yeah, it was in a way, right? Boneless Wing. Boneless Ween Bernerking. Thank you for the 10-month resub. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was kind of dry, JMP. It was a long weekend that, like, a third of it got canceled due to weather, and then my plane ride home had infinite delays and just, yeah, paper magic's just not for me anymore. Am I interested in seeking success in the online part of the $10 million for Arena? Well, one, it's not $10 million for Arena. It's $10 million between Arena and paper magic, which probably means it's like 3 or 4 million at most for Arena. And 2, maybe 5. Maybe they're going to split it evenly. 2, we don't actually know what qualifying for stuff is going to consist of, so I have no idea. If qualifying isn't unreasonable, sure. If it's unreasonable, then nah. I already play Magic for a living. I don't really need to play in tournaments for that. Yeah, just so like the best way I can explain why it was like kind of a disappointing weekend. Like I had spent what's the word I'm searching for? I went 3-1 in the modern portion of the Invitational. It took 5 hours to get through 4 matches of Modern in the tournament. During that 5 hours, I played Magic for maybe 90 minutes, and upwards of 40 of those 90 minutes was waiting for me or my opponent to shuffle or mulligan. Just like, you know, kinda sad overall. Removal spell, please. Removal spell, please. This is match number 4. God bless us, everyone. Magic Arena, if these digital events take off, is going to revolutionize the coverage of Magic. It's going to make the games so much faster and more engaging for the people watching that it's just never going to be the same. I would be incredibly surprised if paper Magic, from a coverage perspective, lasts 3 years once Arena events start happening and are successful. That's where I'm going to put the line. I'm going to put the line at 3 years before we see paper go by the wayside. Yeah, there's no more cheating. There's just none of the nonsense. Called shot. If this is the asterisk, if the Arena events are successful this year, I give paper Magic 3 years. At the competitive level. Let's just be clear on my position. Paper Magic, from a casual standpoint, is never going away. Competitive Magic is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the people who buy Magic the Gathering cards. That's just the God's honest truth. The people who play competitive Magic were a very small minority. I agree, Growing. I think once Arena has the new non-rotating format next year, it's going to be a real big deal. Yes, yeah, F&M is going to exist, stuff like that. SCG is obviously always going to exist, right? Because, like, SCG exists to sell paper cards. But I think we're going to see, like, the Grand Prix level will probably become less common, and, the Grand, what's the word I'm thinking for? The Grand Prix level and the PT is all gonna be. Well, that's the thing, JMP. There aren't 800 competitive Magic players here. The reason why my content is successful is because I don't focus on being purely competitive anymore. Like look at players who focus on being barely competitive. There are a lot of people who are much better Magic players than I am, that focus on making purely competitive content, who end up with less viewers than I do. Will I upload this league by today when I stop streaming? It'll be uploaded at some point today. I don't know when exactly when. And like, I try to win with the decks that we're playing on stream, but to say that we have a competitive focus, I think is completely untrue. right, so I'm gonna do this, show Bitterblossom. I'm gonna cast down this guy. I'm gonna play another Bitterblossom. I'm mostly here for the Beat Bud days. Yeah. You have something that many Magic the Gathering pros don't have, a personality. I take that as a compliment. So if Noble Hierarch attacks here, I'm going to block with Snapcaster Mage. I could see maybe 30% of Grand Prix being paper because of demand for older formats. Yeah, I think so. Something like that. At the end of January, SCG will have a team constructive event, and my friend needs a legacy slot, and I have to finish a legacy deck. But I've had it at proxies for 2 months now. I think Golgari Depths is a fine deck. It's a reasonable choice to pick to play with. So I think I block like this, because it forces them to use pump spells on these to save them. Because this can make this a 2-3, but they still have to spend a pump spell to save it. As a primarily Eternal format player, how do you feel these changes with Arena will affect Eternal formats MTGO in the future? Why would they impact those? I think the only realistic change that Arena could have on Magic Online is that new cards that are printed could potentially have a smaller supply, making them more expensive on Magic Online if there's less people drafting and playing Standard on Magic Online. Are you just letting Glistener Elf die? Deal. That seems good for me. Another Noble Hierarch, sure. I actually wrote about Standard Plus in my article for today. So if you check out my articles on Cool Stuff Inc., you can find that there. My thoughts on if I could spell articles correctly. Like, what's more successful in Magic? Define success first. I do have a yeah. It's gonna be really the thing I'm most interested to see out of the whole announcement with Arena is how successful their 32 players end up being. It could be really awesome if they end up being very successful. They could bring a lot more people into Magic on Twitch. Yeah, it does look like they're prioritizing that. We already played Sultai, Justin. I wasn't sure how long it was going to take, so I put it second to last. I actually wasn't sure I was going to have time for fairies, but we got beat up a little bit. Because I have to be done by 3:30. Man, we're going to die to this stupid Blighted Agent they just drew, aren't we? Alright. Alright, so you're saying there's a chance. So we're going to Stifle an Exalted trigger, and then hope not to die. If they have 2+4s, we're dead. Mistbind wouldn't have really done anything. They could have still cast bump spells off these Noble Hierarchs. Am I dead? They have not announced any of the details about how the top 32 players are calculated. Have actual zero information. Last Hope's real good. Dismember's fine. Go for the Throat's fine. EE's fine. Dispel is fine. Cryptic Command's really clunky. Mistbind Clique's okay, but 2 of them are probably too many. I don't think Negate's quite good enough because Negate doesn't trade up on mana most of the time. Dispel is fine because it trades even on mana, but trading down on mana in this matchup tends to be one of the ways that you lose. You just want to be more efficient. They probably just didn't have lethal robo, so they just didn't care. They were just trying to see if they could get more information out of me. What do I want for the last 2 cuts here? Maybe Explosives is too clunky. Like, kills my stuff too. Oh, let's do this. Let's try this. Yeah, usually you play faster with more experience. My recommendation if you find yourself being a slower Magic player is you want to make sure to play decks that win quicker. The rate at which your deck wins the game should be inversely proportional to your play speed. So if you're someone who plays Magic slowly, don't play a control deck. Play a deck that can win very quickly. All right, what do you got? Well, that hand's beatable. And you say that one more time for the boys in the back, right? Damping Sphere is pretty slow and clunky. The opponent's deck often only needs to play 2 spells in a turn, so making them pay 1 more mana with a Damping Sphere isn't particularly meaningful. Looks like the exact same fairy list I've seen over and over. Don't you want to test out different things with Fae, or is this a viewer submitted list? I don't really have anything. I don't really have any cards that are on my list to test. I like this build of fairies. I think this build of fairies is well put together and has good answers to most of the things that exist in the format. I don't have a specific problem with this deck that I think is solvable. And if I'm not looking to solve a problem, I'm not looking to make changes. You shouldn't make changes to a deck just to make changes to a deck. You should be problem focused when you're making updates and changes to a Magic deck list. You want to go, okay, this deck has this issue and I can solve it by doing this. In my opinion, the only major issues this archetype has is graveyard-based control deck or graveyard-based combo decks, and there aren't a number of sideboard cards in the game that could allow me to make those better without giving up a bunch of other matches. You're right, like the last 2 or 3 times we've played fairies, this is the list we've played, because I like this list. I think it interacts and deals with most things well. Yay, Magic! Someone asked about Leyline of the Void. So here's the thing about Leyline of the Void. Leyline of the Void doesn't give me a good dredge matchup. I don't even think Leyline of the Void gives this archetype a 50% dredge matchup. If I'm making up numbers off the cuff. Like, if I'm really rancid, if I really think my matchup is that bad, like let's say I think I'm 30% or 20% against dredge game 1. In order to get the matchup to 50-50, do you know what my win rate has to be post board? It's higher than you think. And like, even though Leyline is good, like there's gonna be games where, well, I don't draw Leyline. And there's gonna be games where I draw a Leyline, but they have Assassin's Trophy. And at the end of the day, it's just like, well, now I'm just playing this awkward mulligan game that's taking up 4 slots in my sideboard, but not really giving me a lot for it. So last card is Groundswell. I honestly wouldn't be super surprised to just like fire off the Groundswell here and hit me for 7. Too many people, especially with their pet decks in Modern, don't just give up matches when they should. Too many people think they need to be able to win every matchup and don't just say, this is bad for me, it's okay, I'm just gonna dodge the matchup. Woof. I'm holding on to this click actually for this exact moment, which is I can click something bad out of my hand. I have no idea. I don't play Scape Shift. I think that deck's incredibly boring. It is a very angry Dryad Arbor. I'm often unsure if someone like Heatstroke just like listened to the words that came out of my mouth at all, or just like ignored them all on purpose. Probably just wasn't paying attention. Take a break for not paying attention and trying to take more of my time. Groundswell me. What's going on, Steve? Welcome to a live one. What's the best way to identify unwinnable matchups? Experience, testing, practice. There's no substitute in Magic for experience. You just gotta practice. Gotta learn the ins and outs. There's no shortcuts. You boarded out a lot of top end. How about a land for an EE? Nope. So here's the thing, and a lot of people don't get this when they play mid-range decks in Modern. So there's 25 lands in this deck, right? There are, however, there are seven utility lands. So I get that we lost that game because we flooded and we died, but we technically flooded on 18 lands. So like, that's just part of Magic. It's going to happen. Don't cut a land every time you get unlucky. You will always be cutting lands from your deck. They put a card on top. Maybe it's wrong to take that. What deck has enough legendary creatures that you want Go for the Throat in the sideboard versus another cast down? Humans is actually exactly the reason. It's both because they play Thalia and because of Meddling Mage. Here's your blue-black pirates list finally getting me into Standard. You can watch a bunch of the pirate stack on my website. We've got a bunch of good to bad ranges with it. It's got a lot of flexibility. U stands for blue. So because blue and black both start with the letter B, we use the letter U to represent blue, the color blue in shorthand. So I have double black and I'm gonna have double blue, so I'm just gonna fetch an island here just in case I draw a Bitterblossom to preserve my health total. You said play a fast deck if you're a slow player. I think I can play fast, but if I'm playing fairies, it feels normal to take time for decisions. I don't know. You practice. The answer to all your questions of how do you get better, chat, there isn't listen to these 3 secrets. Pro Magic players hate them. They help you get better at the game quickly. That doesn't exist. That's not how life works. Practice. There's no substitute for just getting in repetitions. With these 3 easy tricks and 4 payments of $49.95, you will be the next Mythic Championship winner. Get your piece of the Magic the Gathering esports pie. Like, no, just practice. Just play more Magic. Yeah, number 3 is behind the paywall. Exactly. See, you get it. Well, that sucks. Can I take the Inkmoth Nexus? I'm gonna take their Vines of the Vastwood here because that's their protection spell. Huh. But wait, if you buy now, we will throw in Bertoncini's How to Get Away with Cheating for free. For free! What's the best Godok Teak deck currently? I don't know. It's like asking what the best smelling pile of poop is, right? They're all kind of bad. Bogles. Bogles is the best Godok Teak deck. There, I have a real answer. Bogles is the best Godok Teak deck. Dice Engineer. To tap all your lands. Can likely snap Inquisition next turn. Is deck thinning a reasonable consideration when making plays in Magic? It is not, usually. So the only time deck thinning becomes statistically relevant is when you're thinning a large number of cards or drawing a large number of cards. So in the average game of Magic the Gathering, deck thinning is pretty much completely irrelevant. Dispel's not a terrible draw here. Dispel along with Snap Inquisition probably means I have enough time to win the race in the air. Goldmane asks, what are your thoughts on Thought Scour and delve threats like Tasigur and Gurmag Angler to be more aggressive in fairies? It sounds like you want to play Grixis Shadow, and that's fine. Grixis Shadow is a really good deck, but it's a different deck than this. So, Collective Brutality is lethal here. There's a deck list on your screen. Alternatively, you can type !deck in chat to get a link to the deck list. All right, hit that guaranteed 3-1. So we're at the very least 3-2 in a real modern deck. The Emrakul fetch land gets them every time. Emrakul fetch land gets them every time. No worries, Mono. I wish more people would use the Stream Deckers. More people would be used to it. It's a great tool for making information accessible. I'd like to thank everyone for hanging out here today. I got about 800 people, which is, you know, okay for modern. I'll be back tonight with some standard on Magic Arena, and then I will have some offline content that I'm recording, not on Twitch and just uploading directly to YouTube, published tomorrow afternoon. I think I'm going to do a Legacy deck and a Modern deck for that tomorrow, so look for that on my YouTube channel tomorrow afternoon. I like when you do math on probability. Can you make more of them when it's appropriate? Like, do more math? I'd recommend just taking, like, there's a lot of good intro to probability courses that you can take for free at different places online. I think this deck's very reasonable. I think it's got, like, bad matches against, it's got bad matches against, against things like Dredge, but like everything in Modern loses to something. Do I get bigger numbers with Arena? Yes. When I am streaming Arena, I have 50 to 100% more viewers on average. My Modern numbers average somewhere between 700 and 900 viewers depending on the stream, and my Arena numbers average somewhere between 12 and 1500. Yeah, the YouTube only content has gone over really well. I think if I continue to get, I'm gonna keep this on the draw. It's a little speculative, but it's like pretty good if we hit a second land. If I continue to have good feedback on the offline content, I think I'm gonna move more of my Modern and some Legacy stuff that I'm gonna do to that, and do a little bit less live, because the doing Magic Online in these formats live hurts my viewer count numbers. They mulligan to 5. Okie doke. Yeah, that was the feedback I got from a lot of people growing, is that a lot of people like only watch on YouTube anyways. So it's like, if I can do more modern content and like have it not impact my Twitch numbers, that seems good. Seems like a win-win kind of rate. I don't think Titan Shift is a terrible matchup for us, but like obviously we need a second land. This is also, again, like this is the big problem with playing interactive decks in Modern, is that like even if this hand, like part of the reason I kept this hand was that I have Fatal Push and Inquisition that are both castable spells and the rest of the hand is good. Fatal Push just like doesn't have text in this matchup, right? So like I've kept a medium hand and I've mulliganed to 5 basically just because like my cards don't do anything. Yeah, there's a small number of people that prefer Modern to Magic Arena, but you are definitely in the minority, a very large minority. I can't offer bits for online matches. That's true, Anner, but I also almost never 5-0, so I'm not sure that it really matters a ton. How would a very large minority be 49%? Well, it's not 49%. One, I don't have good numbers. I don't have objective data. All I can do is sit here and like have a pissing contest to beat on my chest and tell you what my thoughts and feelings are as someone who has a lot of experience doing this. But like look around. There's a reason why we have a ton of good content creators with really good numbers doing Arena and not doing Magic Online. There's a reason for that. All right, this one didn't work out. Pretty easy. Cut our 4 dead cards, bring in 4 live cards, click submit. Yep. I tend to not actually watch the gameplay, but listen to it in the background. The audio from TGA is more appealing than TGO. Yeah, I agree with that. Especially when you get familiar with like which cards do which sound effects too. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't expect my Arena content to be successful. Like, I was someone who had only streamed Modern and Magic Online. Like, this is what I started streaming full time with, right? Was this format. And I was like, well, there's no way that my audience is going to move some to that, right? And like, there are some people who don't watch any of my standard content that still watch my Modern stuff, but there's, you know, it's the numbers don't lie. This is probably a play Snapcaster on 2 game. Just like get in there and get aggressive. We are 3-1 and we are down a game against Valakut Titan. When you play MTGO, I like it when you make Arclight Phoenix sound effects for us. What's going on, Beetle? Thanks for the 14 months and re-upping at the tier 3 level. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me employed here. If I'm being completely honest, Arena is good in a way I never expected Digital Magic to be able to be good. I was basically completely resigned to this idea that Magic just wasn't a game that could play well digitally. And what the Arena team has done has, they've made me change my opinion on that. It's not perfect, but it's so smooth in a way I never thought Digital Magic could be smooth that it's just fantastic. When do they do the new MTGA format? Where do you think it should start at? Actually, my article today, I talked exactly about that, Oratog. So go ahead and give that a peek. Thanks for the 6-month resub. Do I feel like this deck struggles with linear decks? Nope. I think it struggles against graveyard-based linear decks, but decks like Valakut, Titan, Tron, this deck has an actively good Storm matchup. This matchup's pretty close. Might be a little bit behind. All right, so I don't have a counterspell for a Titan or Escape Shift next turn, so I need to draw Step Click them. Why should I draw Step Click them? What if I click them and I see 2 cards I can't beat, and I have a negate to beat something? Yeah, Disdainful Stroke would have been good here. Because different linear decks require you to fight them on different axes. So for instance, things like removal spells, counter spells, and discard spells are less good against something like Dredge than they are against a deck like Storm or Infect. All right, sweet. So we went 3 and 2. Good stuff. Good stuff. Welcome to Modern. Enjoy your stay. Let's just how it goes. Again, this is a configuration that I've played a number of times now. I think this deck is fine. I don't really have anything I'd change in it. Like we said at multiple points during that league, I think things like Dredge are really rancid matchups for this, but I also don't think there's anything you can meaningfully do to change it. I think to get the Dredge matchup above 50% with this deck, you would probably need upwards of 8 sideboard cards for the matchup, and you can't fit 8 sideboard cards in this deck without really messing up your other matchups that are better. If you're watching this on YouTube in the future, remember to like the video, ring the bell, and leave a comment below. I am, for people that are here and watching on YouTube in the future, I'm going to start publishing 4 to 6 YouTube-only content pieces per week. They're going to be mostly Modern and Legacy, so it's a good way for me to get additional Modern and Legacy content on the channel for people that have been wanting that, in addition to be doing more Standard and stuff like that. So my plan is tomorrow afternoon to upload at least 1 Legacy League and maybe a Modern League as well, so I'll catch all of y'all around. My goal is to put new content up every single day of the week starting next week. And again, it won't all be live content, but my plan is to post at least 1 deck video on the days that I don't manage to be live here on Twitch to then upload archives. I will catch all y'all around later. I'll be back tonight about 6.5 hours from now with Standard content on Arena, and I will have more Eternal Magic Online content up tomorrow afternoon on YouTube. So thanks everyone for watching, and appreciate the subs and resubs and the welcomes back after my trip. So catch all y'all tonight, hopefully.